The hall was silent, eerily, suffocatingly silent. Hundreds of uniformed officers sat frozen, eyes wide, hearts pounding. The air, once filled with murmurs of pride and congratulations, now trembled under the weight of shock. At the center of the stage stood a woman, her medals gleaming under the harsh white light, her uniform immaculate, her face unreadable. Just a few feet away, a man, red-faced and shaking, had his arm halfway raised before a furious voice cut through the tension like a thunderclap. "Stand down, Lieutenant." The crowd turned toward the commanding officer, who rose from his chair with a calmness that carried power. Then, in a tone that silenced the last of the whispers, he declared, "She outranks everyone here." The room gasped, and in that moment the world seemed to stop. But to understand what led to that instant, to the fury, the humiliation, and the revelation, you have to go back to where it all began. 5 years earlier, Lieutenant Commander Aisha Rahman walked through the gates of the Naval Academy with nothing but a dream and a scarred past. Born in a small town, raised by a father who had served and fallen in the line of duty, Aisha grew up with a fire that couldn't be extinguished. Her father's uniform hung in her room, a silent reminder of both pride and pain. From the day she watched his casket draped in the national flag, she swore she'd wear that same uniform, but she would wear it for those who were never seen, never heard, and never respected. The military wasn't kind to her. The system didn't open its arms. From the very beginning, she was the outsider, too quiet, too focused, too unbending. Some called her emotionless, others arrogant, but none saw the endless nights she spent studying until her eyes burned, the hours she pushed her body to its limits, or the moments she cried silently in her bunk, swallowing pain because showing weakness meant giving her enemies power. Among her peers, one man made her journey unbearable: Lieutenant Mark Denson. Charismatic, well-connected, and cruel in subtle ways, he embodied the arrogance of privilege. From the start, he mocked her, calling her Daddy's pity case and suggesting her promotions were sympathy gestures for her fallen father. His words hit deep, but she never let him see it. She endured his taunts, his smirks, his backhanded praise. Every insult became another stone in the fortress she built around her heart. Years passed, and Aisha's record became undeniable. She outperformed in every exercise, every mission. She saved lives in the field when others froze. Her leadership earned respect even from those who once doubted her. But while she rose, Mark's resentment grew. Every medal she earned was an insult to his pride. Every salute she received was a reminder that she had achieved what he believed should have been his. And so, when the list for the next promotion was announced, when Aisha's name appeared at the top, marked for commander, Mark's bitterness reached its breaking point. The day of the ceremony was meant to be one of the proudest of her life. The hall was filled with officers, families, and dignitaries. The banners of honor hung behind the stage. Aisha stood tall, her uniform perfect, her face calm though her hands trembled slightly inside her gloves. As her name was called, a wave of applause swept through the hall, except from one corner where Mark sat, his jaw tight, his eyes locked on her like a predator. When she stepped onto the stage, memories of every battle, every insult, every lonely night came flooding back. The medals on her chest weren't just symbols, they were scars she had turned into strength. As she saluted the commanding officer and accepted her promotion pin, the room erupted in claps and cheers. But amidst the sound, a sharp, cutting voice pierced through. "She doesn't deserve that." The words froze everyone mid-applause. Mark stood up, his fists clenched. "She got here through pity, not merit," he spat, stepping forward. The hall went dead silent. Aisha stood still, her gaze steady, refusing to look away. Mark's face twisted with rage as he took another step forward. And then, in one unthinkable moment, he raised his hand as if to strike her. Gasps filled the hall. Officers rose from their chairs, some shouting, some frozen in disbelief. But before anyone could move, the commanding officer, Admiral Thornton, a man known for his iron authority, stepped forward. His voice boomed through the hall. "Stand down, Lieutenant." Mark froze mid-motion. The Admiral's eyes burned into him before turning to the crowd. The silence that followed was almost sacred. Then, in a tone that carried both fury and reverence, he said the words that no one would ever forget. "She outranks everyone here." For a moment, no one understood. But then the Admiral continued. He revealed that Aisha had been quietly awarded a special commendation, one reserved for exceptional service under classified operations. During a covert rescue mission 2 years prior, when her team had been trapped behind enemy lines, Aisha had led a solo extraction under impossible odds, saving 5 lives and preventing a critical intelligence breach. The mission was classified, her actions buried under secrecy, and she never spoke of it, not even to her closest comrades. While others sought recognition, she chose silence, loyalty, and duty. The Admiral looked directly at Mark. "While you were complaining about fairness," he said coldly, "she was risking her life in places you'll never be cleared to know." A murmur rippled through the hall as realization dawned. Officers who once doubted her now stared in awe. The same people who whispered that she didn't belong were suddenly ashamed of their silence. Mark lowered his head, his hand trembling, not from anger now, but from humiliation. And Aisha, standing tall before them all, didn't say a word. She simply saluted the Admiral, her face calm but her eyes glistening with tears she refused to let fall. The ceremony continued, but something fundamental had changed. When Aisha stepped down from that stage, every officer in the room stood and saluted her. It wasn't just protocol, it was respect. Real, earned, unshakable respect. She had faced every kind of battle, on the field, in the system, within herself, and she had won them all with grace and strength that few could comprehend. Later that night, when the hall was empty and the applause was long gone, Aisha sat alone staring at her new insignia. The events of the day replayed in her mind, not with bitterness but with quiet gratitude. For every insult, every obstacle, every wound had built her into the woman who could stand unshaken in the face of hate. She whispered softly to herself, "You did it, Dad." And for the first time in years, she allowed herself to cry, not out of pain but pride. In the days that followed, her story spread across the base, through the ranks and beyond. She became a symbol of perseverance, of dignity in the face of injustice, of silent strength that spoke louder than any words ever could. Even those who once mocked her now carried her story as a lesson in humility. And though she never sought fame, her name became a quiet legend whispered in respect wherever honor still meant something. If this story touched your heart, if Aisha's courage and strength reminded you that true rank is earned through sacrifice, not privilege, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to be reminded of what resilience truly means. Special request: comment below with one word that describes what you felt when she stood there, silent, unbroken, and stronger than ever. Because sometimes, the loudest victory is the one won in silence.